Well, first up on the bulletin, the Trump double tariff has come into effect. Now, this will undoubtedly hit our labor-intensive exports to the United States, especially textiles, gems, jewelry, leather, marine products such as shrimps, as well as engineering. Now, over the last 24 hours, the U.S. Commerce Secretary has also spoken out against the H-1B visa system, of which the biggest beneficiaries have been Indian IT professionals. This has been one of the key demands of the MAGA base of President Trump. The same MAGA, which is Make America Great Again, which Prime Minister Modi in February this year used in his supposedly winning formula, where he said it's not just MAGA, but MAGA plus MEGA, which is also Make India Great Again, which is going to be the focus. In fact, this Modi-made mega has now become the Maha headache for India, is what the opposition is saying. But what really is going to be the fallout of this? Let's get you a lowdown on which sectors are likely to be affected. For example, when it comes to textiles and apparels, the exports in 2024-25 financial year, that's the statistics that we are going to be showing for you. It was $10.9 billion. This is likely to be affected. Also to be affected are diamonds, gold, jewelry exports on the whole, which amounts to $10 billion of exports as well. Mechanical appliances are likely to be impacted. Remember, just last year, it was $6.7 billion of exports that India had made. Also, agriculture and meat exports are going to be impacted, which amounts to about $6 billion. Steel, aluminium, copper exports also are going to be impacted, which comes to roughly $4.7 billion for India. This is as per the data coming in from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now, the world is, of course, quite aware that Donald Trump can be quite unpredictable. So these are just some of the sectors which are likely to be affected so far. However, there are some sectors which are likely to be exempt, which have been exempt rather from the Trump tax, at least for now. Which are these sectors? Well, there you have it. The green shoots, at least, which are coming in. Pharmaceutical. The exports from India amount to $12.7 billion, one of the highest exports going in from India, and this is spared the 50% tariff bomb. Also exempted are electronics and smartphone exports, which comes to about $10.6 billion. Petroleum product exports also have been exempted, which is $4.1 billion of exports for India. But let's also tell you, India's loss, whose gain? Who really stands to benefit? Now, remember, Donald Trump has put India in the very highest of brackets when it comes to its tariffs. It's one of the highest he's imposed on any other country, giving other nations a competitive edge simply because they have lower tariffs, which means their products are going to be cheaper in US markets. So who was going to really gain from this? Well, when it comes to textiles, the likely gainers are going to be Bangladesh, Vietnam, Mexico, who also have booming textile industries. When it comes to diamond and gold, the likely gainers of this are going to be Israel, Belgium, as well as China. Remember, so far, there is no tariff. The tariff on China has been on pause, so we don't know in future how this may just be changing. So far, Chinese gold, for example, as well as diamonds, are likely to get cheaper. Meat and processed food are also going to be seeing a big boost for countries such as Pakistan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Their exports to US may go up because their products now become cheaper. Other countries which are likely to gain in steel, aluminium, copper, for example, are going to be Canada, EU, as well as UK. So let me go across to our analysts who are joining us. We have Ajay Bagga, who's joining us, a market expert. Also, Robinder Sachdev is joining us, the founder, president of IMAG, India Institute. Let me go across first to Ajay Bagga. Of course, today the markets are closed, Ajay Bagga, but this is going to be a huge blow. About $45 billion of Indian imports are likely to be impacted. What do we expect to happen from here onwards? Steps have been taken to try and neutralize some of the damage it may do, but what do we expect tomorrow?
See, as far as this year goes, there has been a lot of front loading of our exports. If you look at Indian exports to the US, those rose right through July. So we have done quite a bit of front loading. We miss out on this Christmas season. We are getting reports from textiles and gems jewelry players that orders have got cancelled. Orders were on hold and now they're getting cancelled. So there is a short-term impact on the economy. About $25-30 billion of GDP is going down because of this. How will that get compensated? One, most of our exporters are opening Dubai offices, Singapore offices, Central American offices. So goods will be transshipped via that. If the retailer is willing to take those goods being transshipped, those will go via that through at lower tariffs. Second is looking for alternate markets. That's not easy. I remember the US is a consumer market which is as big as $17 trillion. So it's easier to sell in a market of that scale rather than sell into fragmented European markets or UK. It won't be so easy. The third big thing is the government is coming out with measures, and right now the priority of the government should be that these industries survive, these sectors survive. Their employees don't go back home to the villages because they won't come back then. So we must ensure that there is a safety net package which is brought in. Most of these exporters are very small companies also. There are big companies who take a big share of textiles, for example, but there are hundreds of thousands of very small companies which are giving handicrafts, which are doing leather. They need some protection. So like a COVID, we brought in financial assistance packages. We need to bring in for these exporters. These tariffs will be rolled back. It is a matter of time. So it's not if, it is just a question of when. And the government has to support these exporters to survive till the when.
You made a very valid point there. Yes, there are several smaller units especially which have been stopping production. That has been happening from July onwards. In Noida too, there are several such instances which have been coming up across many of the other textile hubs as well. But Ravinder Sachdev, do you agree with what Ajay Bagga says, that it's not a matter of if but when this tariff is going to be rolled back? Because geostrategically, we all understand that this is a pressure tactic to bring Russia onto the track and to bring it to the peace table. However, when it comes to India, if you can tell us what needs to happen next, because many are saying that it is going to be about resilience. There are those who are also pushing for retaliation. Which way will India pick?
Yeah, which way will India pick? We are at a fork in the road, the proverbial fork. One. Secondly, I absolutely agree with Ajay. The tariffs will be rolled back. It's not a question of if, but when. However, if I could add a footnote to that, the when could last all through the Trump administration, the next 3.5 years. The when and before the when, these tariffs could even further rise. See, right now it's 25% for Russian oil. Fine, okay, India continues buying, Trump gets further peaked. He says, okay, now 50% tariffs for buying Russian oil. And then remember, there's the issue of BRICS. If BRICS start talking about working in local currencies and all, etc., Trump says, okay, BRICS, another 25%.
Yeah.
So let us not think that these are the top end of the tariffs. There could be further peaks down the way, but yes, there will be a time when these will be rolled back, because the overall engines of American economy and Indian economy are hugely complementary, synergistic with each other, and the diaspora, which is there, over 5 million, and we have a logical connect of democracies. I mean, these may sound cliche words, but they're very powerful words. And we need America, and America needs us in the long term, right? So it's a question of the when. But in the meanwhile, yes, there will be job losses. I mean, there's a rough, back of the envelope estimate that for every $1 billion loss, about 100,000 jobs are lost or supported by it. So if we look at, like Mr. Bagga says, about 20-25 billion, we will lose in exports to America.
Right.
I think it depends, maybe even $30-40 billion we lose. So if we lose $30-40 billion more, or even 20, it means 20 multiplied by that many lakhs. So we will lose that many lakh of jobs. And exactly, yes, these are the jobs of the small enterprises.
Absolutely.
Right? The diamond polishers, people employing, 10, 20, 30 people. The owner is okay. I mean, the owner is okay. This year he may not make, 2 crores a year. This year he may make lesser. But it's the workers that he employs. He says, I have no orders now. Okay, please go. So workers will be the ones who will suffer the most. In textiles, in leather, in diamonds, in shrimps, not the businessmen. Okay, the businessmen will suffer. Yes, no doubt. But I mean, the guy's already made his money. He's somewhere in a different level of the economic strata, right? It is the workers who will suffer. Now, to counter
it's like
this,
the horrors of lockdown all over again that we had seen at the time.
It is. It is. I mean, this is an economic emergency. In fact, I'm arguing for something that this is an economic emergency. For 1 year, India should institute a 6-day work week. I know it's a controversial idea, but we need to discuss this. We need to build up national character. We need to work hard. We are saying that we will not bend down. Okay, how will we not bend down? What are we doing to stand up?
We want to come back because that's a longer conversation and I would want to discuss more on this. What is the way forward? Swadeshi alone? Will it show immediate results? How long before we can actually put our things together? Yes, we are talking about GST reserves, reforms. We are talking about ease of business. But is that going to be soon enough? We'll just come to you, gentlemen. Do stay on with us. Let's give our viewers a bit more of information so that they can really arm themselves with the facts. So while imposing punitive action on India, remember, putting the entire moral burden of Ukrainian deaths on us and shaming us for buying fuel from Russia and funding the massacre in Ukraine, US itself is discussing now, ironically, energy deals with the Russian officials. If sponsoring war is the real reason, why is US not imposing secondary sanctions, as the White House calls it, on China? The word sanctions has been used, remember, in the context of India. Beijing, remember, was the largest Russian oil purchaser last year. The hypocrisy doesn't just end there. On Tuesday, Trump had said that US will allow the entry of 6 lakh students from China, hail what he calls great relationship with China. In fact, watch this hypocrisy.
The president has applied aggressive economic leverage, for example, the secondary tariffs on India, to try to make it harder for the Russians to get rich from their oil economy. He's tried to make it clear that Russia can be reinvited into the world economy if they stop the killing, but they're going to continue to be isolated if they don't stop the killing.
We're going to have a great relationship with China. I mean, it's happening. You see it. It's happening. They have some cards. We have incredible cards, but I don't want to play those cards. That would, if I played those cards, that would destroy China. I'm not going to play those cards.
Now, even as Trump goes ahead with the tariffs, rating agencies have shown faith in Modinomics. In fact, Fitch has affirmed that India's credit rating is at BBB minus with a stable outlook. S&P Global has upgraded India's sovereign rating to BBB from BBB minus. Now, what this means is that despite the impending tariffs which just got imposed today, there is resilience, they predict, in the Indian economy. The resilience also shown in Prime Minister Modi's assertion, in fact, second of its kind, that Bharat will not give in to any pressure, no matter how great amount of pressure it is. At the same time, however, strategy is in place for future. Listen.
मेरी सरकार किसानों का, पशुपालकों का कभी भी अहित नहीं होने देंगी। दबाव कितना ही क्यों न आए, हम झेलने की अपनी ताकत बढ़ाते जाएंगे। वोकल फॉर लोकल बने, स्वदेशी, ये हमारा जीवन मंत्र बनना चाहिए दोस्तों। गर्व से स्वदेशी की तरफ चल पड़ो।